Taurus taurus, or the Scottish Highland cow, featuring my cow Freya as the wonderful model in all of these pictures. Starting off with the taxonomy, the Scottish Highland cow is found in the kingdom Animalia, in the phylum Chordata, in the class Mammalia, and in the order Artiodactyla. Its subspecies is Bos taurus taurus, as well as the scientific name, which includes all European cattle, out of which there are about 15 breeds, the Scottish Highland cow being one of these breeds. Notable morphological characteristics of the Scottish Highland cow is their very long hair, which is used for warmth and protection and allows them to live in frigid climates. The trade-off of this, of course, is that they do not do well in warmer climates. Their horns are notable for being both in males and females and can reach up to 6 feet across. They're used primarily for protection and sexual selection between males. Another notable feature is the dewlap. And an interesting thing to note about the dewlap, which is the very fleshy bit on the underside of the neck, is that its function is not well understood in mammals by science. There are many theories on the actual function of dewlaps in mammals, from sexual selection to making the animal look bigger as to ward off predators, but its full function is not well understood. The habitat and lifespan. The lifespan of the Scottish Highland cow is about 20 years, which is longer than most other cattle breeds. The habitat of the Scottish Highland cow, well, being native in a sense to Scotland, however, it was most likely brought over earlier from mainland Europe. There are actually very few Highland cows considered wild. Most studies studying wild Scottish Highland cows actually use semi-wild cows, which are cows on ranches that have very little human interaction. Scottish Highland cows thrive in relatively cold and rocky habitats. This makes them excellent animals to live in Scotland, Scandinavia, Canada, and US. And the majority of cows, of Scottish Highland cows, are found either in Scotland and the US. Means of obtaining energy. A major source of energy for Scottish Highland cows, and all cows in general, come from cellulose. This can be found in grass, hay, and other fibrous plants. Cellulose is broken down in the stomach by microbes via fermentation. This process creates volatile fatty acids, which is the primary source of energy in cows. Key behaviors and social interactions. The behaviors of the Scottish Highland cow can be broken up between the calves and the adults. The calves have a lot more energy and are much more playful than the adults. They love to have activities including play fighting, running, and licking, which are all signs of affection in calves. The adults are much more relaxed and docile, and despite their large horns and rather intimidating appearance, they are not aggressive at all, and have been dubbed the gentle giant because of this. Scottish Highland cows are also herd animals and will often form hierarchies based on the age and sex of the individuals in the herd. And an interesting thing to note about Scottish Highland cow herds is that almost any mammal or almost any animal can actually become part of the herd. Horses are a very common animal to be part of Scottish Highland herds due to their close proximity being raised to them on ranches and such. However, humans and even dogs and cats can also become members of Scottish Highland herds. Another thing to note is while they are extremely docile, they are protective of individual members of the herds. And for Freya in particular, she forms a herd with our two other horses, and she is the runt of the litter at the bottom of the food chain. Relationship with humans. Scottish Highland cows are the oldest registered breed of cow, being registered back in 1858. This does not mean that they are the oldest species of cow, only that they were the first to be registered. They are considered one of the most docile breeds of cows, as stated previously, which makes them great for small farms. Traditionally, Scottish Highland cows are used for beef, and they can also be used for milk. However, it is not as common as their milk is high in butterfat. And for the record, Freya is a pet and would never be used for beef. The global status and contributions to biological research. The conservation status of the Scottish Highland cow is domesticated. And research relating to Highland cattle, they were used in a study to test the effect of breed-dependent impact on vegetation. The study looked at a number of different cow breeds and how they affected the vegetation diversity and the amount of vegetation in pastures after a certain amount of time grazing. It was found that the Scottish Highland cows are one of the best types of cattle to let graze. This is because of their lower production in terms of other cattle. Um, a lot of other meat cattle, which are mainly produced to grow really fast and produce a lot of meat, need to intake a lot of vegetation to support this. The Scottish Highland, not being raised to do that or bred to do that, does not need as much vegetation as these other cattle, which actually increases the richness of plant species in the area. They also imposed less physical pressure on the vegetation in the study as they trampled the vegetation less. And then here are the sources.